What we saw tonight, a 5-2 loss again to the Detroit Red Wings. And the effort to me was very similar. It left you wanting. They looked disinterested at times. They looked not overwhelmed, but they were the second best team on the ice at times. And you're just, I don't know how we don't do the same show again because the result is the same. They look worse maybe now than they did a week ago. And there's less time now to get into a playoff spot. I guess we can have the big picture and the small picture. Welcome to Afterburner, by the way, if you're tuning in on live on the YouTubes and on the stream, or if you've got this on your podcast. Another disappointing loss for the Calgary Flames as they drop one on home ice 5-2 to the Red Wings. Walk me from the start. We knew Vladar was getting the call in this one, and he did not get the victory. It felt like that was like finally the dam had been broken or something with Daryl Sutter, that here we go. This is how you're going to get that traction and get that momentum. Dan Vladar gets the start. I don't know what you do now. Do you go to Markstrom? Do you go back to Vladar? Just your thoughts on, I guess, the goaltending. It's hard not to start anywhere else.
You know what? I thought the Flames did a pretty good job at the start of the game because we talked about that this morning, that, you know what, coming back from a big road trip, it's tough. It's hard to just come out strong. I thought for the first 15 minutes, it was a back and forth game. Guys were dialed in. They get a shorthanded goal to start. You're like, hey, this isn't bad. Guys are kind of firing. We didn't know what we were going to expect because we were talking about the identity of this team and where they were going and what was going on and what we're going to get tonight. Started off fine. They get the lead. 3 minutes later, at the end of the first period, it's back tied 1-1. You're like, okay, now it's 1-1. They were kind of standing around on their own end. Start the second period. Detroit gets an early goal again. And the end of the periods and the start of the periods were just minus the first. Flames weren't good. They're standing around. They're giving guys easy shots. The second period for me, kind of after that first goal Detroit got, even though it was at the end of the first period, the wheels kind of fell off. They're a fragile team, Dean. We talked about that. They're any bad luck, any bad break, any misfortune, it's not good. Dubé comes in, ties the game up, great shot, good speed, shoots short side. Magnus Hellberg is a good goaltender. He's a big guy, beat him glove side, quick shot, great. Detroit comes back, makes it 3-2 and 4-2, and you're just like, holy smokes. And then to start the third period, that just to crush any hope that anybody had on that bench, in that building, at home watching the game on TV, through the 5-hole, bad goal. I've let those goals in beer league hockey standing up when I've had a few too many pints.
That was a Krahn special.
It was a Bush League goal for a Bush League goaltender, and Vladar. Like you heard bits and pieces of Daryl's press conference after. I think Francis had asked, you can't pin this one on your goaltender or something like that. And Daryl was saying, well, he didn't steal us one either, but that's been all season long.
Yeah, it's another case where your goalie, did he deserve more run support? I don't know. Maybe it's tough. You have to be nearly perfect if your offense only gets you 2. But as Daryl said, didn't really give them a chance to win either. I don't know. Even when Dubé tied it at 2, I felt like I was trying to talk myself into, okay, well, now they're back into this thing. Now they've got a chance. Here you go. You're trying to give them the mental pep talk in your own head. I don't know that I bought it. And I defer to guys like Red. I defer to you. I mean, you played guys that have played first game back after a road trip. It wasn't the first game back after a road trip in Detroit. And they looked that was as dismal an effort as this one was. But this is the first game back. I have very little in the way of expectation or hope against the red-hot Rangers team. They've won 6 in a row. They're going to come in flying on the weekend. And at this point, how do you look at any opponent? How do you look at any game and say, oh, that shapes up well for the Flames?
You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting, though, until you watch them Saturday night. They're going to come up flying against the Rangers. They're just going to be all of a sudden – they're going to be on top, but it's going to take one little thing to break them over, though, too. Like, that's the thing. There is no mental strength. There's no character right now. These guys are battling themselves before they're battling the opposition. You watch them out there. That the lack of coverage in the front of the net. I think it was the third goal, Kubalik's goal there.
Yeah.
There's nobody you could throw a blanket over 4 guys in front of the net, and then Huberdeau comes back into the picture after the goal's been scored. And this is your leadership group. These are your guys that are paid to get you there. And in a game against Detroit, it's a beatable team. I know they're kind of on a tear for a team that's not a bottom feeder, but not a top tier team. And the Flames played beneath them again. It's what they do. They're beneath every team that they play. And it's so frustrating to watch. I can't imagine what's going through their minds in the dressing room. I really can't. For a guy like Vladar, who this is an opportunity for him. There's the first goal, missed coverage in front of the net, shoots far side.
And on that Kubalik goal, the first one, that puck is going wide of the net. It goes off of Michael Stone's hand and then goes in. And then Stone takes a penalty, and it's on that power play that they score, that Fabry scores to make it 2-1. So it was full on goat horns for Michael Stone early. And it was as though it just started to settle in on everybody. The mistakes, the turnovers, the giveaways, and just the lack of awareness. That one, it was that, I guess it was the Kubalik goal? I'm sure.
Number 3.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was the Kubalik second goal where Bertuzzi gets it in front, and the defensive coverage. I get you're killing penalties, but they had the 6th ranked penalty kill coming into this game. Zadorov was all over the place. They were backdoor tap-ins. It was easy. On top of everything else, it was easy for Detroit. A year ago, you go back, it was you not that you had fear, but I think teams had to know if they were coming into the Saddle Dome, be prepared. Big D, they're physical. You got to be ready. We haven't seen that in a long time. This was a fun one for the Wings. They're on a road trip. Give us all these road games you want. They'll take them all day long. But for the Flames, it's like I said off the start, it's hard not to sit here because we've seen a few of these in a row now. This is not the exception. You're starting to see just lack of energy, lack of emotion. And I have a hard time. There's always some excuse. It's last game before Christmas, first game after Christmas, for games before the All-Star break, after first game after a road trip, all of this BS. I'm just not buying it anymore. 0-12-2, trailing after 2. Darryl was asked about that this morning, I think, and he kind of shrugged it off. Well, that's, if you look at the numbers. No, your team is not resilient. They cannot come back. If they're down after 2, they have not won a single fucking hockey game all year. They're not resilient. They're not confident. And right now, and we talked about it, you were on the other show with me and Rhett today, and I said, this doesn't look like so much a team. This is just a collection of players. And they're good players. Some of them are very good. But this does not look like a team. This just looks like another 3 forwards and 2D every 45 seconds to a minute hopping over the boards. It's all it looks like right now.
There's no purpose. There's zero purpose. There's no desire. These guys are just hopping over the boards, like you said, just doing their job. So-and-so, quote unquote, just getting out there, going in for a shift change. There's nobody that's getting pissed off out there. There's nobody that's losing their mind. If you're going to lose a game like this, grab somebody and beat the shit out of them. Do it with a purpose. Get yelled at. Where was this emotion all game? I don't care. There's zero emotion out there from any of these guys. All there is leaning over with their sticks on their shins, with their head down. Oh, man. And then I rag on Markstrom for getting mad and breaking sticks and losing his mind. He's the guy that can't show emotion. He's going to be none of these fucking players, they're not losing their minds. You can't see any passion from these guys. None. I'm watching the game on the couch. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. There's not. I don't know what's going on in between that in the dressing room, but somebody's got to be saying something. And saying it doesn't get you very far. But I don't know who the leader is on this team. Are they all just best friends waiting to go for dinner after the game? Are they all just sitting out here waiting to, how many games left in the season? 20-some? You got Ville Husso, who's got 21 of Detroit's, I guess now 26 wins. And you got Magnus Hellberg, who hasn't played very much. He's a 31-year-old guy that's played 14 games in the National Hockey League. You made him look like a rock star tonight. The Flames are doing a great job of making every B goaltender in the National Hockey look like a fucking all-star. And these guys can't set pins in a bowling alley right now. It's a joke to watch, and nobody seems to give a shit, from my opinion.
Another night where they outshoot the opponent. We talked about that as well. I don't need to hear any more about the shot clock, because the volume as it relates to scoring chances is so far out of whack. I know there's a lot of websites that they'll track at high danger areas, high danger chances, how many shots from the scoring areas. It's a lot of routine work. And I went back and I got looking at it. So, and you said Hellberg, hey, he's in the National Hockey League. He's an NHL goalie. No disrespect, but he's the backup in Detroit.
Yeah.
Win. You were in Ottawa. Mad Sogard, the third stringer the other night. Win. You had Jackson Stauber, Rob Stauber's kid in Chicago. Win. You can't beat the backups or the third stringers. Again, I don't know what you say, because for a while this year, we bitched and moaned about the line combos, that you had to get Lucic off of the second line. Where's Pelche, all of this? Pelche's in. Pelche's on the second line. Vladar got the start. Everything that we've kind of been clamoring for as media fans, whatever you call it, whatever we are now, but anything that people have been crying for, it's pretty much happened. And the results are the same or worse. They're now 1-2-2 in the month of February. So you get more points than you do games on a road trip. You'll take that. I don't think that gets you there. I don't think that this is... Every time you take a road trip, you come back and you lose the first game. So you can't go on the road. It's hard on the road. It's hard at home. You can't come back. You're not resilient. You can't protect leads, as we saw in Ottawa, and then you can't come back from deficits here. I just feel like it is bleak. It's easy to be really negative after these games. And we've had a really good opportunity on this program to be negative because we've had a lot of losses, and we'll talk about that. But you come to work tomorrow if you're the Calgary Flames, and what do? You're professionals. You're all paid big money as your coaches, and we're going to go and skate. We're going to go and practice. What do you want to practice? Power play, breakouts? I got it. Whatever. Just do it, because you're going to have to play New York and then Philadelphia, and then you go back on the road. But as I sit here tonight, they may make the playoffs, but unless something changes, and right now I can't even imagine what it would be. This team won't win a round. This team may not win a game in round one, depending on who they play. And it just seems hard to think that at this clip that they're even going to find a way to get into the playoffs. Something has to change in terms of the goaltending has to get better, and it hasn't been getting better. I, honest to God, don't even know what to tell you as I sit here. I just don't see how this changes unless it's a trade or a coaching change or something drastic, because little tinkering here and there around the edges, moving the deck chairs, it's not going to fucking matter.
Who's their game breaker right now? Who's breaking?
One.
Don't have one.
Don't have one.
You don't have a goalie that can make a save. You don't have a game breaker. You got liabilities all over the ice. You don't have 60-minute efforts. So what do you do? And you're not going to go solve that with a trade. That's a panic move. Tree Lemming's hands are tied. How are you going to make this team better? They have the tools to do it, but they're kind of past the point of giving everybody Huberdeau was just trying to figure it out in the Western Conference, and playing for Darryl is a lot tougher than playing in the East and having Barkov at center and ripping around, and Uyghur, we got him to do this and do that. And I know it's a bit of a tough time to make a transition, but somebody step up, and none of them are doing it. They're feeling sorry for themselves. All those guys it looks like they're just feeling sorry for themselves. All of them. And it's painful to watch. And I wouldn't make a trade to save my life right now, because these guys don't deserve it. There's not going to be a shot in the arm coming in from outside. They're going to get sucked into that cesspool right now. They're going to get brought in, and nobody's going to elevate. It's got to come from within. And you're not going to put Lucic on the first line to try and show some emotion again. Like, it's a waste of time. Who's going to do it? And like you said, there's no answers right now at this point. Nobody gives a shit, and they're just X's and O's. They look tired, and 60 games in, and nobody gives a shit.
It looks a lot in a way like some of the teams we've seen here that were veteran-laden, older teams that maybe it's not a very good comparison. I just remember being at the Dome all the time and watching Olli Jokinen And near the end, Alex Tongue and guys like that, they'd made all their money. If they were winning, they'd won it. They knew they weren't going to win this year. They were just winding out the clock on these long-term, high-money contracts. And Jay Feaster was the GM. He's like, we're in cap jail. Remember, he was talking cap jail. We need to have intellectual honesty. These guys are post-apex, all these kind of catchphrases. It almost feels like we're back there again. Whereas, and Rhett's talked about it on the other show, are they having fun? When they score a goal, are they fist pumping? Are they excited? Pelche was, but anybody else, are they really fired up? It feels like there's no fire or desire on this team. And Frank Saravalli had Nazem Kadri on his podcast, Frankly Speaking, earlier this week, and Kadri was asked by Frank. He said, "The Flames will make the playoffs if fill in the blank," and he said, "If we start playing like a team," which is a telling comment. Right? He's not going to say, well, we need better goaltending or power play's got to be better. I don't know what the answer would be, but it's unique enough an answer to tell you that there's something not right. If you don't believe it and if you can't see it from what's happening on the ice, then take that at face value, because it's this collection of players, this group is not going to go anywhere.
Hockey for these guys is fun every 2 weeks right now.
Well, the All-Star break was probably fun, except for Kadri, because he had to go to the game. Everybody else had a hell of a good time, right? They were in Mexico or the Turks and Caicos or wherever they were. This is going to be tough for you. We do the cheers of the game for our buddy Mandeep at BK Bowfort Liquor. BK Bowfort Liquor, you know where it is, Trans-Canada Highway, right across from Winsport, beside McDonald's. You stop in on your way to the mountains, you stock up, put that, tuck it away nice, get the blankets wrapped around there, be careful. And then you're on your way. You can see them on social, Twitter at BK Liquor, on Instagram at BK Bowfort Liquor. And we do a cheers of the game, which is saluting a performance worth taking note of. I'll let you start. This is the hardest BK Bowfort Liquor cheers of the game that we've had since the dawn of Afterburner. I guarantee you.
And it has to be a Flames player, correct?
It really doesn't.
Because
I'll do
a great game.
I'll do mine, and it'll buy you some time to do it. And it's a total cop-out. I'm giving a cheers to one of the greats of all time, Lanny McDonald, on his birthday. Lanny's in. They showed it on the broadcast. He's down in Montana with some of the alumni, having a great time. 70 years old, I believe, Lanny is today. One of the greatest guys, one of the finest ambassadors for that team and for this city that you could ever imagine. He's traveled around the globe just promoting the sport and the city and all that. So one of my favorite people in the whole world, the big man, Lanny McDonald, on his birthday. You get my cheers of the game from BK Bowfort Liquor.
That's gutless. That's well done.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a gutless move. Because
it's good.
Yeah, Lanny. Nobody can say a bad word about that guy. Hey, it's like I'd like to hear one guy just say, you know what, that guy's a jerk, just once. But you're never going to hear, right?
Well, because we talked about it before we started. So, Dylan Dubé scored. I said, Christ, I think I've done Dubé 3 or 4 times. I can't keep going to the Dubé well.
I thought, you know what? He had one hell of a shot in that second goal. Why not give it to that guy, right? They scored a shorthanded goal. He thought things were going to be just riding off into the sunset. First goal of the game. I think it was Lindholm that got it. So I was going to be like, that's the guy. And then they all just kind of fell off the map.
Blake Coleman had no shots on net. Mackenzie Weegar was even. He was even on the night. Truly, it's one of those games. You have a hard time doing it. You got to really squint, and you're doing it just for Mandeep is what you're doing it for.
Right.
That tells you the type of a performance that this was tonight, where there just really wasn't anyone that stood out in a positive way. But by all means, Brent, let me know who you're cheersing of the game. Mm-hmm.
Myself for my, you know what?
There it is. Selfish, yeah, sure. Yeah.
My first appearance on the Afterburner podcast. You know what? May as well promote myself. I think I did a great job tonight.
I was going to text you. I was going to say we need to come in with some booze.
Yeah.
We should be driving us to drink. We should be drinking on this show.
I was boozing while I was watching the game. I ran out of beer in my Team Canada fridge, so I got to get a new one. I got to get a new beer. Oh, you know what I mean? Like it was awful. What can you do, Dean? You look sad. Like, I need to come over there through the screen and give you a hug. Like, you look down. I don't know what.
Oh, I'm
You'll be
fine.
okay?
Honestly, what I'm trying to do is just not be
Negative.
full on negative. They
Yeah.
stink. You try and have some coherent, some real conversation, some real discussion about it. But I just keep coming back to they're not good enough. This
No.
team isn't good enough. And whose fault is it? Rhett was talking the other day, you need to build your team around your young guys and you grow from within, and then you augment with guys like Kadri or whatever. You had that, and you probably still would if Tkachuk didn't want to leave. You would want to keep that guy forever, right?
Yep.
That was, you drafted him, you'd want him to stay, you'd pay him all the money. He didn't really want to be here. What do? Was there a different trade to make? Look, did any of us say, bad trade? Tree, that's a terrible trade. No, everybody was, with your back up against the wall, what an unbelievable deal with Tkachuk having you over the barrel. You have maybe 4 or 5 teams you can deal with, and you pull the top 2-3 scorer from last year and a top 4 defenseman. Unbelievable. And then you sign them to long-term extensions. It was the summer of Brad. There were t-shirts made, for Christ's sake. And I mean, maybe you don't sign him, maybe you take a different deal, but if Tkachuk stays and if Gaudreau stays, if things change, we talked about it, if Bennett is better, if Monahan doesn't get hurt, you had that. But you do right now, if you look at it, and it's kind of the running joke, how many people have 2, 3, 4 Flames jerseys hanging in their closet of guys that don't play here anymore, that they could have worn last year or the year before, but now everybody's gone. There's been so much turnover here. I don't know what the connection is to the logo, to the locker room, to the coach, to the team, to the city. It does just feel like some hockey players who are being paid to play Calgary Flames hockey, and then at the end of the season, they go off and live their lives. And then they come back because it's good money and they're a Flame for a few months, and then they leave again. And maybe that's not fair, but it's kind of the way it feels right now because there's been so much turnover.
Well, I'm sure you were the same, but I was pretty excited after the summer of everything that happened, with the way it started to the way it turned out. Brad making those deals to get those top end guys, and everybody's just sitting there, myself included, thinking, wow, he turned chicken shit into chicken salad, and we're going to have a good season here, and we got the right guys, and it hasn't started off on the right foot. And we've talked about it like earlier too this season or this morning, where it's one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. And for some reason, there's nobody that really owns that Calgary Flames logo on the front. There's nobody that, if you sit there and think, you know what, who's the guy that makes you think of the Calgary Flames? When you close your eyes, who's the Calgary Flame on that team? I close my eyes, I can't think of one guy that represents the Calgary Flames. So that's a lack of identity for me. I just think of Daryl Sutter behind the bench because everybody loves that guy, but he doesn't play the game. Somebody's got to be able to execute. Over the years, who's been the identity of the Calgary Flames? We've ragged on Johnny Gaudreau, right? He's been a player where it's exciting, regular season player, awesome, gets guys into the playoffs. Playoffs come around, doesn't get the job done. Who's a guy that's really taken hold of the team over the years? I mean, Giordano was a captain. He was a nice guy, good player, but like there's nobody, there's no passion, there's no desire.
And there hasn't been a captain.
No.
Because you could put the letter on somebody's chest, but who has really stepped up and been the leader of this team? You couldn't give it to Tkachuk because you kind of felt like he probably wasn't going to be sticking around, right. And you didn't know what Gaudreau was going to do as a free agent. And now you sit here and you look at guys like Lindholm and Tanev and Backlund and all of these guys. They're very good players and they're good guys and all of that. But do you feel like they're going to be, any of those guys will be here necessarily in 5 years? No. I don't know. I said yesterday, Rasmus Andersson to me is the guy that I would,
closest guy to it, yeah.
That if I had to put the letter on, but again, I'm not marching down to the dome to say it's time to put the letter on somebody's jersey. They've had Daryl Sutter as their leader and their face of the franchise. And I just can't help but wonder. We all know how Daryl is, and we've heard the rumblings right from the start of the season, right about the time they had that collapse against the Oilers when McDavid scored along the wall against Markstrom. is that Daryl started to really get the vice and cinch things up real tight, and there was no fun to be had. And it looks like that's exactly what's happened. This looks like a team that is not enjoying the game. They're not enjoying themselves, and I think they're done with the coach. And it can be easy to be done with the coach when he is of that style. You have a shelf life when you're a red ass, and B, you're not winning games. So if you're a hard ass coach and you're hard on guys and you're fucking beating it into them over and over again, but you're winning a bunch of games, you can justify it. But when they're cracking the whip day after day, game after game, and you're not getting the results, can't work. Doesn't work, won't happen. And he's just signed an extension. They're not going to let him go, but it just looks to me like the players are done with his shit.
But that's leadership though, Dean, right? So the coach is losing the room. He can't get anything more out of the guys. I played for tough coaches before. I played for Daryl's proteges before. Is there anybody in that dressing room that could just stand up and say, "Go fuck yourself, Daryl. We got this in here"? Do you not think that maybe that's what he's looking for? Do you not think that he's looking for a guy that's got a spine that cares, and he's going to push you to like any guy that leads or owns a company or his own company or is a coach or whatever? He's going to push the group as far as they can go, and if they are as far as they can go, and they just like, "Oh, this guy's an asshole. I can't do it anymore. This is a joke. This is bullshit." I know it's hard. It sucks the oxygen out of the room, but there's got to be somebody in there that gives a shit enough, right? And that's got the balls enough, because can't be just anybody. Hannafin can't go into Daryl and say, "You know what? Fuck you, Daryl. I got this. Leave us alone. Putting the team on my back." There's nobody in that room that's got that kind of balls, because Daryl's going to push back and they're just going to fold.
The only guy.
Go ahead.
The only guy. It might be Lucic, but I honestly don't see that happening.
No,
I really don't. It might be Trevor Lewis because he's been with Daryl for so long, but Lewis is one of his guys.
I know.
There's no NHL coach that would be giving Lewis as much ice time and opportunity as Daryl is. So is he going to really go in and stomp his feet about that? So my answer to you is there's no one. There's no one in that room. And I think Tanev's probably a good leader, but I don't think he's that kind of a leader. And I don't think Rasmus is there yet. And it sure isn't Hannafin, all due respect. So I don't know. I don't think there is anybody, and I don't think Kadri's been here long enough to do it. So you have a team that's losing hockey games, finding different ways to lose hockey games, either being bad or being really good and then collapsing, or whatever the case may be. But I just worry that we've already hit the past due date on this coach way too soon. Way too soon. So Brent Krahn and Lanny McDonald are our cheers of the game for BK Bowfort Liquor. There you can see the email, bkbowfortliquor@gmail.com. You can call Mandeep 403-247-4722. And I know that Mandeep's been putting together prize packs. I saw on social media today on their Instagram account at BK Bowfort Liquor. There was somebody standing there with a nice little tray of drinks, some cans and some stuff. Yeah, nice little giveaway prize package. BK Bowfort Liquor doing that all season long on Twitter, at BK Liquor. That is your cheers of the game. Flames fall 5-2 against the Detroit Red Wings, first game back. Now we can go here. We started this post-game show, whatever you want to call it, and you can watch it. It's on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and wherever you watch your stuff. It's also available for your downloads on your Apples and Spotifys and that sort of thing. But we started at the start of the new year, and we're only doing them on as school nights when there's a drive. If you're driving to work the next morning, you can download it, pop it onto your Bluetooth, listen to it on your way into work. You got some fresh Flames Nation content for you. We have now done 12 shows. We have sat here and talked about 2 victories in those 12 games. 2, 6, and 4 is our record now for Afterburner. Now, I think we'd have to have a pretty long stick. We'd have to have some real influence on the team to affect their style and level of play. But it's starting to get a little bit precarious, to be quite honest. People are now, as soon as the Flames are down in a hockey game, they're like, "You fucking guys, you gotta stop doing this show. You gotta stop doing this show." We're not gonna stop doing this show, but it ain't great. 2-6-4, dude.
Can you bet on it? Like, just if make it fun.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if there's odds or what the line is or whatever. But you know what? Like, you and I got pretty broad shoulders, especially you. You've been around a while. You've been doing this a long time. You can take the load, right? It's all your fault. It's probably your idea for this Afterburner thing, and you probably were rooting against the Flames from the start of the season. I know how you operate. But at some point you'd like to see this turn around, and you're gonna have to wait to the end of the season for that, because I can't see it going in any other direction.
I have written down here, now what? Because we always kind of take the look ahead, what's happening, and because they were supposed to be better tonight, because remember how shitty that game was, how upset they'd be against the way they lost to Ottawa. And in Ottawa, they were going to be better because they were so bad against Detroit. Well, now they were going to be better against Detroit tonight because they were so bad against Detroit, and the way that they ended the Ottawa game. None of it has really seemed to resonate. None of what I'm throwing up against the walls. It goes to show you what the hell I know. I think they could win by 3 because it would make no sense. There's no way you could rationalize it. They could get their doors absolutely blown right off by the Rangers because they've been so good as of late. But you're right. It'll probably be another exciting game that'll be right down to the wire because it makes no sense, and it seems like there's no way that it should be. It's just so frustrating, this team. And it just, again, if the team would ever kind of commit to it, I think the fan base would be okay with it. It just feels, it really feels like a year where if you're gonna chase it, it's just silly. It just seems silly. If you're even contemplating, are we really going to be talking about potential ads at the deadline for the Calgary Flames?
No.
Oh, they're in a playoff spot. They're a point out of a wild card. Yeah, I know, but how short is the focus? How short is your view from where you sit? Good Lord, you cannot be giving up assets to add an unrestricted free agent or add some minor piece with the hope of improving your stock. St. Louis was the shits when they won the cup that year. That was needle in a haystack stuff. That was a unicorn. Unless you can pull that, I don't see any. There's no argument that can convince me that this team should be making a deal at the deadline, unless it's something that is moving. If it's a big deal and you can see why next year and the year after, it clearly makes sense. Nothing short term.
No, not at all. This team lacks identity and lacks leadership, and you're not going to fix that with a rental unless it's a good deal long term. So there's no short term solutions for this problem, and if they won't do anything, and we beat on them all we want. We can say they suck, like they're hanging around, which just kind of speaks to the weakness in the West. But you just got to get yourself in, and that's a lame, limp dick comment where just get in, and see what can happen. And it's right, it's accurate.
I do believe it for sure. And if you get in, why not? Puncher's chance, right? Chip in a chair, give it a shot. But to spend assets to try and do it, which is, and I think you kind of answered it there. It was going to be my question to you. I'm going to ask you for Derrick Newman. There you see it. Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group, CIR Realty. If you're buying or selling, let Derrick do the work for you. D. Newman at cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. Do you know Derrick? Great guy. Really good guy.
Seems like it. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, he's super nice guy. Friend of the show. He's got more coming with him too, which is awesome. But it's all good shape. Lean.
Oh no, really?
Clothes look good, good, right? Like
takes care of himself.
You know what he does? He tucks in. tucks his shirt into, yeah.
T-shirt into the jeans or dress shirt into the dress pants?
No, just nice. Yeah, like a dress shirt. Yeah. So anyway, buy it or sell it. I'm going to say to you a comment, and you can agree or disagree. You can buy my point of view, or you can sell on it and move on. My point is that the Calgary Flames will do nothing at the trade deadline. That the team is not good. It's too far gone. The ketchup's out of the bottle. Whatever you do between now and March 3rd, you know what this team is. You can't. You may not want to sell, but you can't buy. And Treliving has never done it, but I think this might be the first year that Brad Treliving stands pat at the deadline. You buying or selling?
Dean, I'm buying what you're selling, if that makes any sense. Yeah. He's not making a single move. He can't. There is no upside unless he lands some long-term fix, not a short-term fix. He's not doing a thing. Not at all. He can't. His hands are tied. He's done all he can do in the summertime. There's absolutely nothing that he can do right now. And you probably want to smash your computer if you're in the press box and throw it out the whatever, but you can't. That's a very narrow-minded, short-sighted thing to do if you're going to try to think you can improve this team over the next couple of months, just short-term.
And can you get by if you give up a 4th or a 5th or a 6th round pick? Sure. Yeah, sure. But what kind of impact? What potential is there going to be? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he looks at it and decide, maybe there's an opportunity for him here to really shuffle the deck. But I think he's a sharp guy. I can't imagine. He's closer to it than any of us are. He knows what's going on in that room. There's no way he's fooled by what he's seeing here right now. And any deal cannot be strictly with the next 2-3 months in mind. It just can't be. So that's
and you're not going to do a deal to shake the room up. You know, the room is like you alluded to Kadri's comments about we got to play like a team. Bringing somebody in from the outside,
right? It got shook in June, July, August. She's shook, boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brad Newman, you're not going to settle down. Again.
Yeah. Buy it or sell it. Presented by Derrick Newman. That t-shirt tucking Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. Truly, though, good guy. If you are in that part of your life right now, if you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to sell, you get a hold of Derrick. He will treat you right. He'll do everything in his power to make things work for you. D. Newman at cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. 5-2 the final. Yeah. 1 win in 5 games so far in February. Out of everything that is disappointing about this game, and you can go top to whether there's the loss and what kind of an opponent. To me, the real gut punch was that Dan Vladar gave up 5 on 21. Because I know for myself, I just felt like I was kind of clinging to that. Let Vladar go. And I know even Eric Francis on the broadcast tonight, he was like, you give him the next 3, just let him go. Let him go. I guess I would start him again, but not because he deserves it. I feel we're almost back to square one again because he was not very. I don't know. There was some tap-in goals. The last one really kind of sticks out. You couldn't.
Yeah.
It makes it 5-2, but it essentially erased any hope you might have had to get the goalie out, back to within 1, and try and get it tied with the goalie out, something like that. But
Vladar is the only player on that team where you can say it's 1 game. Right, because Vladar hasn't lost whatever in his last 13 starts or whatever. He's 10-3, loses tonight. He hasn't played in a long time too, right? They had the All-Star break. You go right back to him. I don't think you have a choice. They went right back to Markstrom so many times. You're to the point now where Markstrom's not getting you any wins either. Vladar's got to get on some kind of roll. They got to give him an opportunity to do so. Putting Markstrom in net isn't getting you any further ahead. See what Vladar can do. Give him. Go ahead and say, hey, you sucked tonight. You weren't good. You're playing Saturday. Let's go against one of the better teams in the National Hockey League. Mm-hmm. It's yours. The net is yours for the next 5 games. Don't even think. You're in.
You want to talk about some needle in the haystack miracle. that could help this team. It's if a goalie gets absolutely out of his mind, and maybe it's Dan Vladar, maybe it's not Dan Vladar, but maybe it's Dan Vladar. Could he do for this team what Kiprusoff or so often? Remember Dwayne Rollison went to Edmonton and got traded in all the way to the Cup final. It happens sometimes, and I don't think it happens here, but I do like Vladar, and I think right now he is playing the better of the two, despite what you saw tonight. But it was a little bit sobering to see the team perform as poorly as they did and to end up losing by 3 with him in the net.
Yeah,
So.
no, and like you said too, there were a couple tap-ins there. What are you going to do? And that fifth goal was just kind of the icing on the cake. You couldn't fault Vladar for any of those 4 goals. That fifth one was like, okay, well now you can jump on the boat too, on the sinking ship, because you're a part of the problem right now. But that's part of being a goaltender. You're letting goals, you make saves. It's when you make your saves. He wasn't on tonight. There were some, just no chance goals. Get him back in there Saturday night and see if he can steal you one. Because I still this season, I can't think of a game where a Flames goaltender has stolen a game at all this season. Chance, 0 life. They've won a game 2-1 or 1-0 or 3-2, right? Like they made some timely saves, but not enough of them.
The most disappointing part is that you suffer a regulation loss on your Afterburner debut.
And once again, Dean, you see these right here? They're broad. I've made a lot of poor choices in my life. I've taken a lot of blame when I shouldn't have. I'm just a guy that steps in front of the line and says, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" I knew it was coming tonight. I did say this morning that the Flames would win because I'd be here, because I bring that positive energy of all the negative talk. And once again, my word, not good.
It's shit. Yeah, that's
shit.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Good to have you on, buddy. We'll do it again soon. Appreciate you for jumping in tonight. The Flames fall by a score of 5-2. We will be back. Our next Afterburner will be on Monday, which is the holiday, but it is a 2 p.m. start. That's right, 2 p.m. Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know why. I always love when the Flyers come to town.
Me
it always
too.
feels like it's same with the Rangers when those kind of Eastern Conference teams come in. So that's hopefully going to be a fun one. Torts back. Torts. Gonna be good.
Him and his sweaters underneath his suit jacket on the bench.
It's chilly. Yeah, it gets.
Yeah.
Always looks like he needs a lozenge. He's very, very chilly on the bench.
Fisherman's friend.
So there you go. So Warner and Pinder will have you the Afterburner following the Flames and Flyers coming up on Monday. That'll do it for us. For Krahn, it's Boomer. It's Afterburner. We'll see ya.